Minister, according to AFC, between 1997 and 2017, agriculture saw a 50% decrease in GHG emission intensity, meaning that agriculture emissions have remained static, but they are producing twice as much food. These environmental and economic improvements were made by farmers without a price on carbon. Farmers from coast to coast to coast have shared with parliamentarians that due to the carbon tax surcharges, they don't have the available capital to continue to make green investments. Bill C-234 is before our chamber, which would free up capital for farmers to reinvest, to continue to sustainably intensify. Minister, will you support our farmers and help provide carbon tax relief so that they can continue investing in innovation?
Monsieur le Ministre.
You probably know, Senator, that we've already excluded 97% of on-farm fuels for equipment using fossil fuels. That was from the get-go when we introduced carbon pricing. So we've already recognized that there are some application in farming sector where there are no alternatives than using fossil fuel-based equipment.
A farmer in southern Saskatchewan shared his carbon tax costs with me. He goes through 150,000 litres of diesel on his farm every year, and at over 15 cents per litre, he is paying $24,000 in carbon tax on diesel fuel alone. But wait, there's more. The GST gets added on top of that yet, bringing the total to just under $25,000. But wait, there's more. The NDP and Liberals will quadruple that number for him, and he'll be paying $100,000 a year just on carbon tax for diesel fuel, thanks to this radical Prime Minister. And Canadian families will pay more for groceries as well. Yet these Liberals don't seem to care. They broke ranks with their NDP coalition to vote against common sense Conservatives that would remove the carbon tax from farm fuels. And now there are senators appointed by this Prime Minister trying to shut it down at the last minute. The Prime Minister needs to stand with Canadian families and producers and tell the senators to stop blocking Bill C-234.
Senator Plett.
Minister, again on Bill C-234, and I keep coming back to the same thought. You are asking an unelected Senate to do what you couldn't do in the elected House. This bill passed the House of Commons with wide support. The vote wasn't even close, and you keep on referring to it as Conservatives against the world. The Conservatives, the NDP, the Bloc, and the Greens supported this bill unanimously. Even some of your own Liberal MPs, including the chair of the Ag Committee, supported it. We don't often see consensus like that anymore, and it was good to see MPs coming together to support our farmers. Now you're asking unelected senators to do what you could not do in the House, kill or gut this bill. Why should senators do what you want them to do instead of respecting the will of the majority of the other place?
Ministre.
As you know, Senator, as a senator, you should know that the Senate is a recognized institution as part of our parliamentary system. I'm not telling anybody how to vote in this institution. I'm having conversation with some of them about my position on this bill, which is no surprise. I publicly stated that I was against it, so it shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. But I believe that the Senate is a very important part of our parliamentary system, and senators should be able to make the decisions that they want without being pressured by the House of Commons. And I'm not pressuring anyone, as opposed to the Conservative Party of Canada, who's launched a campaign against senators who don't agree with them. I find that very troubling.
Senator Plett.
Minister, I find very troubling your accusations here instead of answering my questions. One day we're called bullies and the next day we're called whipped. I mean, it's got to be one or the other. Minister, I asked you at the very outset a question that you did not answer. So let me ask that question again now. How many senators have you called in the last 2.5 or 3 weeks to speak to them about the weather or tell them what your idea is about this bill? You say it's public knowledge where you stand on this. Why would you need to call a senator to talk about the bill if it's already public knowledge where you stand? Why did you call them, and how many have you called, Minister?
Monsieur le Ministre.
In answer to the first part of your question, I'd say it's both in the case of what we're seeing here, Senator.
Minister, you have said several times there will be no more exemptions or carve-outs. to the carbon tax as long as you're the Environment Minister. The majority of Canadians, and indeed the majority of the premiers of our provinces, want the carve-out that C-234 brings. So, Minister, will you keep your promise and resign if Bill C-234 is passed in its original form?